Nice to see you, sir.
Thank
You're
you,
looking
sir.
well.
That's very kind of you to say so, Don, thank you.
And how's trade?
Been on the quiet side, Don, I think. Are you finding it the same yourself?
Oh,
It's
everywhere the same. I suppose we must be very careful not to talk trade down, but
That's
I mean,
right.
times are hard. There's no doubt about that.
yeah.
What can I do for you now?
The reason I've asked you, Don, you know, I missed your seminar that you had recently on the launch of new preservatives, was it, Don? I think it was.
Yes.
I know I got a bit of a brief photocopy through. Unfortunately, I was on holiday at the time. What I was hoping was you could come and really run through with me what I missed out on, and sort of, you know, fill me in. I've got a couple of questions to ask you. Just let me know what I missed out on, because basically, what it is, I'm getting a lot of problems from local authorities as regards different. They want one of these, a toxic-free preservative. So I'm no Protim. Being the people they are, you're bound to offer me a toxic-free preservative, Don.
No.
No?
But anyway, no, we'll come to that later on. But you want to know about the seminar. Well, the seminar, in fact, had two purposes. One was to introduce the new range of preservatives, and the other part of the seminar was concerned with the Environmental Protection Act. Now, I can't, there's just not time for me to go through in detail the whole seminar. That's a 4-hour job. So I think what we can possibly do is look at those aspects which concern you, which may interest you, and are relevant to your present situation. But let's first then look at the Environmental Protection Act, which was the first paper in the seminar. No, sorry, it was the second one, but that doesn't matter.
I wasn't there, so I don't know.
No.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Briefly, it brought everybody up to date with the requirements of this Act and the effect it would have upon them so far as the requirements to bring their plant into order, to conform with the new regulations, and the details of registration of plant which would be required of them. Now,
But you say my plant's out of date, Don.
no, I'm not. You are very fortunate. You've got a plant, a nice new plant, 12 months old, I suppose,
That's about what
roofed over, and in fact it conforms in nearly every detail
Right.
to what will be required
Okay.
for registration under this Environmental Protection Act.
Right.
In actual fact, you've got quite a bit of leeway to do such other small items as may be required. The main one of which is filtration. Don't get too concerned about this because you don't have to install filtration on your plant. And when I say filtration, I'm talking about air filtration, the emissions of the air and gases from the plant. You don't have to get involved with that. You don't have to install that, rather, until 1995, 1996. So it's way in front. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on that now.
Right. And when the time comes, you'll just come along and fit them.
By that time, we'll have had plenty of time to put you in the picture and to offer you whatever modification is required to conform at that time.
Right. If you just give me time, let me know so I can let the lads in my yard know when your engineers are coming in to fit.
What I did do sometime back, about 3 months ago, I think, I left, because you weren't actually here, but I did leave a copy of that with you.
That was in the front of the business guide, Don, I believe,
That's
wasn't
right.
it? Ah, right, yes, I saw
Now,
that because it got passed on to me.
That will cover much of what the seminar was involved with so far as the Environmental Protection Act is concerned.
I've had a brief read through that because I know it was
it'll
important at the
cover
time.
most of that. It'll cover the details of registration, which type of registration you come in under, and so on. But very briefly, because of the type of preservative you use in your protein-free plant, you would not have to register that plant until 1995, 1996.
That's the Protim I've got till
Protim
sort of 4 years' time, Don,
It is
hasn't it?
because of the protein that you're using that delays your registration until that time.
Right.
Now, the other part of the seminar was concerned with the introduction of this Protim 800 range.
Okay. This is the non-toxic range, Don, isn't it?
No, it isn't. There is no such thing as a non-toxic wood preservative, nor in fact can there ever be, because they are only wood preservatives because they are toxic to those agencies which may destroy timber. So there's no such thing nor will there ever be such a thing as a non-toxic wood preservative. What there is in the Protim 800 range, and maybe in some other introductions, who knows, fungicides and insecticides which may be considered by some to be less aggressive, maybe so far as mammalian toxicity is concerned, or some other factor. Now, in actual fact, I think before we go into any detail on that, I don't think it's necessary to go into great detail anyway, because what in actual fact I have here is a folder which contains the data sheets on the Protim 800 range.
Thanks
I'll
for
leave
that,
that with you. I don't think
Lovely.
you need to go into great study of that now.
Right.
But you'll have it,
So they're all
and
in
you
here.
can refer to it if you feel it's necessary.
Oh, smashing. I'll pop that in the FOSROG file, Don.
That's
very
right,
kind of you.
that's right.
Thank you.
Now, I think one of the things that you would have heard had you attended the seminar, you would have heard our Dr. Andy Saunders say that with the formulation which you are now using,
Yes. It's a
we
Protim
have
Protim 80 we have.
Protim 80 you're
That's
using
right,
now,
yes.
that's right. With that formulation, which we have been producing for over 20 years,
Right.
we have sold something in excess of 200 million litres.
You've
Right.
made a few quid in that time, Don.
I believe we might have done, but so would our customers. And in fact, our customers would have made more money on that amount of fluid than we have made. But that's good, that's business, that's trade.
It's the way it works, too, isn't
That's
it?
right,
You
that's
know.
right. Now, 200 million litres means something in excess probably of 11 million cubic metres of timber treated.
It's not a timber, Don, isn't it?
That's a lot of wood. And if you like to equate that to the average house, assuming that all of the carcassing timber and external joinery were treated in the average house, you're probably talking something in excess of 3 million houses.
Right.
And in practice, because not all this timber is treated in every house, it probably is double that number of houses. What I'm trying to point out to you is this. You made reference to safe and toxic-free preservatives, which it can't be.
I mean, that's what I'm getting asked for, Don, you
Yes,
see.
I
people
do
asking me
understand
for
that. I do understand it. What I'm trying to point out to you is this, that this formulation you now used, is the most tested, most tried, most trouble-free, most cost-effective wood preservative which exists on the market.
So why have you brought the new one out then, Don?
There are people who will, well, let me put it to you this way. I think there are especially a number of local authorities where decisions are made by elected members, and these elected members are often prey to pressure groups of one kind or another, or they are instant experts as a result of watching a half-hour television program.
See, that's where my problem's coming from, Don. As
Yes.
you know, I do quite a bit with local authorities. I've had, you know, you've got to pay your prices
Yes.
down to get in on that tender lists,
Yes,
and I do a fair bit of treatment for them.
yes,
They are quite a good customer for my Protim Prevac plant.
yes.
The snag is they want this. They definitely want no lindane in their compounds. You see, and what they're asking for is non-toxic. So you're saying this
Well,
Protim
There is no such
800
thing.
is it?
There is no
Right.
such thing as non-toxic wood preservative for a start. The 800 range, instead of containing what you're used to, tributyl tin oxide, pentachlorophenol, lindane, contains a zinc soap, a Cepidex zinc in actual fact, and permethrin. Right.
So it's got zinc. It's got zinc instead of lindane and Don, has it?
It's got zinc instead of no. It's got zinc instead of pentachlorophenol and tributyl tin oxide. They are the fungicides. Zinc is a fungicide.
Right.
TBTO and tin are fungicides.
It's the lindane I get the
Lindane
problems with, Don,
is replaced with permethrin.
Right.
They are insecticides.
And is permethrin safe then?
No, no such thing as safe.
No?
No. Permethrin might be seen by some as having perhaps a lower mammalian toxicity.
Right.
I don't think that is necessarily going to be shown to be so in the fullness of time.
Right.
But that is the view of some people. I made the point mammalian toxicity because, to some other things, it is very much more toxic.
Right.
one of the biggest likelihoods of objections to your plant, your treatment, is if, as we hope will not be the case in your instance, you get an escape of preservative into the environment, into watercourses most probably.
Right.
Well, any chemical in a watercourse today is very bad news.
That's right, Don.
But permethrin is considerably more toxic to marine life than lindane is.
Oh dear.
So you see,
So
I'm
I
just
can't
trying to
win. I
illustrate
can't win,
there is
can I,
no
Don?
such thing as a safe preservative. You might
Right.
win one way, but you're going to lose another. The point about it is this: with all wood preservatives, and this applies as much to what you're using as to the 800 range, or indeed anything else, they are necessarily toxic to something or other, otherwise they won't work. And so the essential thing is to ensure that you use these chemicals in a safe manner. And that is what you're doing.
Right.
You are using what you're using now in a safe, controlled way. You are not presenting a hazard to the environment or to your customers of your treated timber, because you are using what are potentially hazardous chemicals in a safe and controlled way.
Right. So you're
And
saying,
approved way.
I mean, obviously I've got my operators trained. My
Right.
bund wall's okay done, because I know your Don
This is it.
Anderson comes in and inspects
That's
my, he does his site safety, because
Yeah,
I get his
yeah.
copies and that. I haven't got time
Yeah.
to see him. I get his copies come through to me. So you're saying if I change to 800, I've got the same problems. I've still got to look after everything. It isn't going
Absolutely.
to be easy to deal with.
Absolutely, yes. Let me get back to your problem, which you've illustrated, and that is you referred to a problem with your local authority.
They're specifying no lindane. That's what the problem
Yes.
is, Don.
Right.
Obviously, Protim contains lindane. I need to have something done. They're a good customer of mine. I don't want them to go elsewhere. I need to offer them I believe I need to offer them an alternative. I need to offer it quick before my tenders go in for next year. I've got to have some figures on what is, on
Well,
what I need to do.
While we're talking about figures, let's see what those figures possibly are. Now,
Better make some notes here.
yes.
we're talking.
Well, I'm going to be asking you questions
Oh,
on
right.
this. You this year, I noticed, this last year, used about 30,000 litres.
Right, just over, I think, because I leased the plant from him 30, and I've been watching it carefully, Don.
Yes.
I just crept over, so I'll get some.
Yes,
I'll
I
just get some
noticed
money
that.
back.
That's good. That's excellent. It means that we obviously pitched the level about right.
I think our discussions at the time were very worthwhile.
right.
Yes.
Good, good, excellent. Well, again, I would say that on average, therefore, you treated about 1,600 cubic metres of timber, and you probably, well, what is your selling price approximately?
I tend to get around about sort of 30 to 35 pound a cube, Don.
Do you?
It's
That's
getting,
nice.
It's getting difficult at the moment because I always believe that people undersell treated timber, and obviously I've
Absolutely.
spent a lot of bloody money putting this plant in, and you see I want to get my money back.
Yeah.
The snag is I've got a Harcross down the road who's selling it cheap, and they've got one of your plants
Oh,
in.
yes,
and,
I know about
can you not do
Harcross.
something
I mean,
about
it's,
that,
it's
Don?
really the only competitor you have, I think, in this immediate area, isn't it?
It is, but can you not sort of tell them to stop charging so
No,
cheap?
no. I don't tell you what to charge for your timber and your treatment, and I certainly wouldn't try and tell
I
them.
know they've had their plant a long time and they haven't got the costs I have. but
It's one of the things
it's
you see.
underselling it, Don.
Yeah, well, I'd agree with you. I'd agree with you. I mean, if you're making 30, 35 pounds a cubic metre, which is what I would expect you to be making.
I mean, it's cost me 14, 15 pound to treat it, isn't it? From what you told me, 20 odd litres a cube or
well,
something.
I wouldn't have said so quite, but anyway, what it does mean is I should think that if you're charging that much money, you're making about 20, 25 pounds a cubic metre margin on your treatment, which allows for your labour, overheads and profit. And I would have thought on that you must be making quite a reasonable profit margin, quite an attractive.
It's made it
margin.
worthwhile putting the plant in,
Yes.
Don. I mean, I must say, it's
Yeah. Good.
earned
That's
a bit
excellent.
extra.
Now let us then develop this sort of study. You referred to your local authority. What sort of proportion would you say of that treatment you?
It's a fair amount, Don, 'cause I've got sort of 3 local authorities, and I tend to either sell them treated timber direct, I treat them a pack and sell them it, or sometimes their
Yes.
joinery works bring their timber back into me after they've done it for windows and things. I treat it loose for them.
Yes.
Oh, roughly I'd say local authority work, taking the 3 local authorities into account, about About 30% of my treatment, Don, will be local
About
authorities.
30%.
About 30%, yes.
In other words, then about 10,000 litres per year preserved.
That'll be about right, Don, yes.
Yes. And you're supplying 3 local authorities, and they're all insisting on Lindane free, aren't they? That's surprising.
There seems to be, there's one that seems to be my biggest buyer. That is like the county council, and the little local authorities are sort of being, the authority specifies, is it Z12 or some
Yes. I know what you're talking about.
Z12
Yes,
specification.
yes,
I don't know, Don.
yes,
I just see
yes,
there, see
yes,
when I
yes,
do my
yes.
quote, it's
Yeah,
Z12, and that's specified by the
NDA
county
standard,
council.
yeah,
It works
yeah.
down to local authorities. And it seems to be, it's getting tougher all the time that they want this, you know. I've managed to get away a few times. I spoke to them and said, listen, I've got Protim 80, is that okay? They said yes, because that's the only option they've got. But I know there's talk of one of them putting his own plant in, one of the local authorities putting a plant in. I don't know if you're quoting or somebody else, but it seems to
No,
have raised the
certainly we're
issue
not. We'd
again.
have to look at that very closely.
Well, I can let you know.
Yes, I'd like to know anything more that we can find about that, because no, that's not come back to me at all. Let us then look at the situation if you were to charge, to change to the Protim 800,
Right.
which is the zinc-based permethrin insecticide.
Right. That'll be the
product.
same price as 80, Don, is it?
No, I'm afraid not. Bear in mind what I said just now, that what you've been using, what you are using, is the most proven and most cost-effective preservative.
Right.
Anything that you change to from that inevitably will mean an increased cost. Now, in this case, it's going to be an 18p surcharge on top of what you're paying now.
18p, Don.
18p.
Is that what, per month?
That's per litre.
Per litre, Don. 18
Per litre.
pence. Good heavens, you're making some extra money out of me, aren't you?
Truly not. One thing I want to emphasise with you, you may get the impression from what we're saying, or what I say, that I either wish to push you into changing to this preservative, or that I don't, or I wish you not to. And this neither is the truth. We don't mind what we sell you. It is your decision. We want to make you aware of what the alternatives are, and all the cost and other implications of that change.
So it's going to cost me another 18 pence a litre for a product with one less active ingredient?
Well,
Come
one less
on,
active
Don.
ingredient, but the ingredient, of course, is just as effective as the other two, if you follow me.
Right.
But no, this is the truth of it. 18p per litre. Now, if you are treating all carcassing timber, if you were treating carcassing timber, say at about 18 litres per cubic metre, I mean, you've got a surcharge there of £3.24 per metre for your treatment cost.
It's costing me a lot more, isn't it?
It is. Now, I think this is beginning to point to something that we need to look at very closely. Of course, whether you wish to change to this or not, but whether there may not be another way around your problem.
Right. I mean,
You've got local authority problems, right?
I couldn't carry that extra. I couldn't carry that extra money, Don. I mean,
Well,
everybody will go to Harcross. I mean, the other 70% of my business will just tootle down the road to Harcross. I'm going to have to
Well,
take this plant out if it's going to cost me this much extra.
right. So let us see what else we can do about this. I can't help feeling the first thing we ought to be doing is going and talking to your local authority.
Right. Can you go there, Don, for me?
Be delighted to go, either on my own or with one of your own people, as you wish. If you can point the name of the man out to me, then I'll be very delighted, because I think this is by far and away the best route to follow, because we're only talking about 10,000 litres. I'll come back to that in a moment.
Right.
If I can show them what in truth is an excellent history for the product which they are buying, have bought in the past, which you're using, and that everybody's used, and I think I can show them that this has got a really first-class history of being trouble-free and not causing problems with health and
You see,
safety and so on.
It's the problem is their men won't handle it, Don. It's these unions, man. I mean,
I do understand your problem, and it may be that I can't succeed in that, but nonetheless I feel that that is perhaps, in this instance, where we ought to start.
right.
We may fail, but let's try that route.
I mean, it's worth a try, but I mean, recently I sent a wagon down there,
Yeah.
full of treated timber, and they said they could smell it, they wouldn't unload it. The wagon had to come back and had to wait another day in my yard.
Well, that's got nothing to do with the formulation. That's only to do with the solvent. And really, that is because you hadn't given it sufficient time to dry before you sent it out. And you would get the same objection.
But they're always screaming for it done. They want it the same day. They order it stuff. They want
I
the
know
same
the
day
problem.
treated.
Then we have to tell them. We have to educate them in that respect as well. Firstly, of course, it is now illegal for you to send it out wet.
Is it done?
Oh, yes.
I thought, I know CCA,
No.
you've got to wait for it. I thought we could just send it straight out.
It's illegal to send any preservative out
Is
when
it?
you've actually got active fluid on the surface of the timber and it is touch wet. Now, of course, in the case of Protim, it very soon becomes touch dry.
Yes.
But you will get, for a period of time, this lingering evaporation of solvent from deep in the wood, and that really is probably what they're objecting to.
So they wouldn't lift it off the wagon.
No. So that is, it's a matter of education, that either if they want it completely fume-free,
Right.
they've got to give you sufficient time to treat and allow it to dry in your yard, or they've got to accept that there will be evaporation still coming off in the form of fumes when they receive it on site. Again, it's an education problem, something I'm quite pleased to do, go and talk to the people so they're aware of these things.
Right, so take that as first line of approach. You go, if I give you the names, I think it's
That's right.
I think it's a Mr. Anderson. I'll check that. I think it's Mr. Anderson at the county
That's
council. We'll try the county council first.
Yeah.
So try it as a first line of approach. The other thing, I need some figures today, Dom, because I need to find out how much, if
Right.
I change, we've got a
Ah.
board meeting, and obviously, we're looking to put other plants in other
Yes.
parts of the group.
Yes.
I need to have figures, because obviously timber preservation is coming up heavily at the moment. So you're saying it's going to be 18 pence a litre more, Dom?
That's right.
So this is for the Protim 800.
800.
So the 18 pence, shocking that, Dom, 18 pence a litre.
Yes, and I can tell you that any other formulation you go to, based on anything else, will also show an increase in cost. I'd like to get back to your trade mix, your customer mix.
Yes.
In the event that you went to this new formulation, you would be endangering the 2/3 of your business.
That's right. I mean, which is 70%. Well, 70% done, isn't it?
Yes.
Just we're sitting here, just had a thought. Could I have a dual-purpose plant, Dom? One that, I had, because he said I'm only going to need about 10,000 of this expensive gold label fluid.
Yeah.
Can I have a smaller, just leading into my big tank, running through the same pump?
Well,
cycle?
I wish that was a viable alternative. Unhappily, it's not. It's not for two reasons. Well, more than two, most probably. One is cross-contamination. It's something we ran into many years ago. We had different formulations, fencing and joinery formulations, and we tried them in dual-purpose plants, and we ran into cross-contamination, which proved that it's just not a viable thing when you get.
You never have different inlets in that, Don.
No, it just isn't viable. And now, of course, with these new regulations and the tighter controls which exist today, what you're using has to be approved by HSE, as it's an approved
Are you saying these
formulation.
products aren't approved?
Oh, no, they are approved. What I'm saying is this: if you've got cross-contamination one with the other, then the end product wouldn't be approved because it would be a mix of two.
A
you
mix,
see.
that's right, Don. I never thought
So
of that.
there are, plus the fact that the conversion to a dual-purpose plant, I mean, we do make dual-purpose plants where they're operating with the same range of preservatives. The cost of that would be very substantial indeed. I can't tell you exactly what, but I mean...
But just for one little bulk tank and a couple of bits of
no,
pipe,
it's not.
Don.
It's two tanks, you see.
2 tanks on you, Don.
Yes, your operational storage vessel and your bulk storage
That's the
vessel.
one with the chimney on, isn't it?
That's right. I mean, you're probably looking between 10 and 15,000 pounds. That's a sheer guess. But I mean, certainly somewhere in that range, I would guess.
And even I couldn't add it to my lease and it wouldn't work in, would it not, Don?
Well, we could do, but to be honest, on 30,000 litres, I don't see that you've got the scope to increase your leasing costs substantially. What I do wonder is, I mean, you'll be well aware that a lot of business will be going under in recent times, and I do know that we have got a number of small second-hand plants which
tight,
we
bit
could
tight
make
on
available.
Space, Don, and bit tight
Well,
on
yes,
big-
here's a
big-
problem.
I mean, you know what my yard's like at the bottom. Could you shuffle one in somewhere for me, do you think?
Well, this is where I wondered whether I couldn't bring in one of our other experts, and I'm wondering if I couldn't bring in perhaps Gordon Eubank or our engineering side, or indeed both, to look at your layout and see whether there is any scope possibly for putting in a small second-hand plant which we could make available
It'd have to be
on the
cheap.
most... Well,
Don,
yes.
I mean, like we said at the
Effectively,
start,
we
times
do it
are
on
bad.
something not much more than the installation cost. But I mean, it's still money, of course.
Uh-huh.
If there's room to do it, I mean, we've got to look at to see if there is room.
Yes.
I'd like to bring them in and let them have a look at your situation.
What, and I'd run this new Protim 800 expensive fluid in the little
This is
plant
what I'm wondering.
and keep my big plant for the other one.
This is what I'm wondering. You see, then you wouldn't be jeopardizing the 2/3 of your main
Right, so
business.
I keep both people happy then.
Well, it's possible. I mean, it may, when we look at it, it may be impossible. Or maybe even the costs involved will put it out. I think it's something we ought to
And I
look
must
at.
say, we've got no capital expenditure out till 1992 now. I mean, I'm not saying we're hard up done, don't get me wrong, but times are tight.
Everybody's
We're having
the
to
same.
watch our purses.
We're the same.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
charging
yes.
18 pence a litre more, no wonder.
No, well, so far as capital costs are concerned, I mean, yes, you could buy the plant, certainly. But of course, you could put it on lease as your existing plant is.
Right.
So that eliminates your capital cost, doesn't it?
Right, that's a good idea, Don.
Well, it's possible. I mean, there may still be penalties to be paid because, I mean, then you're losing part of the throughput of your larger plant.
So I'll be falling behind lease-wise on that one. I've got to
There we
find a
are,
bit
you
more
see.
for that. But if I get a bit more business for this new 800, if other people change,
Well, yes.
could you
if
find
other
me extra
people
business
change-
for it, Don?
No, I wouldn't wish to, I'll be quite honest, because we do not wish to be seen to be pushing any particular formulation.
Right.
We make available to you, to local authorities, to specifiers generally, the range of specifications which we have. When we do that, we make them aware of what is available in their particular area. And this is another factor, I think, that we need to be thinking about here so far as your local authority is concerned. It may be all very well for them to specify Protim 800 or Lindane free or whatever, but if there is nobody to supply that product, and to the best of my knowledge, there is nobody that can supply that product.
I think that's why they're talking to putting their own plant in, you see, Don, which worries
Well,
me.
Yes,
Because I can't afford
yes.
to lose that business.
Right. So then that really brings us back to this possibility, I would say, of thinking about, or looking at the possibility of installing a separate plant for that business.
Right.
Yes, of course, at this present time, that does mean that you are going to be losing the revenue which helps to run and
The
make
big
your
time,
bigger
yes.
plant viable. But
Uh-huh.
these are hard times. You've been through 12 hard months.
That's right. I mean, I'm just sort of seeing a little bit coming back in now.
Things are going to get better.
Are you sure they're done?
Please God, it's going to get better. But yes, they are, aren't they? And probably next year. And it's going to be next year by the time we get any new installation completed anyway, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. I suppose by the time I get myself sorted out and find a bit of space.
I think there is reason to hope that the trade will so increase next year and stay up, we hope. Oh, it's got to bring back into your larger plant
That extra I'm
that
losing.
extra which you are likely to lose if indeed you go this other route.
So how much will a plan be then, Don? Because you see, the problem is I need to have figures to main board
Yes,
meeting
I know
tomorrow.
you do, and I can't give them to you off the cuff. It's something I've
But
got
give
to...
us a rough one, Don, just something I can work
I'm
to.
guessing. Dangerous game guessing,
Don, I believe your
Something
guesses.
in the order of 5,000 quid. But bear in
£5,000.
mind that
Right.
that could be put to you as a leasing agreement.
So if I wanted to buy one of these second-hand little plants you have,
Something
it'd
in
be
that
about
order.
5,000.
Well, that you can't take that as a quotation.
No, it was just
It's
what I need. I
a
need
guesstimate.
so it's 18 pence a litre more. It's bloody
Yep.
expensive, that, Don. Another £5 for a plant, and this plant will cover the same as my plant. I won't need to have any more money spent. It'll be up to the current legislation, won't it? So it'll be an
No.
up-to-date plant.
No.
It's an old, an out-of-date
No, I
plant.
tell you what, you've just raised a very interesting point there, because I suddenly realised. No, I was going to say that would need to be registered this year, but no, it wouldn't, because you'd still have your other plant. you would still delay registration to 1995 because you'd still be operating Protim 800.
I mean, we can't afford to have any payouts done. We can't afford to.
No,
I mean, I noticed
understand.
there's just thousands of pounds that they'll lash out, you know.
Yeah.
We haven't got that
No,
spare.
you
We're
still-
running
you
tight.
still wouldn't have to register. Ah, God, no, there is a possibility there. Yes. I'd have to take advice again, and that's again where we've got to bring in our other expert, Gordon Eubank, because in the event that we installed that, because it is a major change on your site, it might bring forward your registration. Yes, it might.
Well, it's going to cost me money, Don, is it?
Going to cost you money.
That's not such good news.
If you change your formulation, it would bring forward registration because you would then have to register by this October. Well, except of course it wouldn't be happening by October. Yes, it would bring forward your registration.
So
If you bring in Protim 800 by whichever route, it will bring forward your registration under the Environmental Protection Act.
So to please
to
these
this
local
year.
authorities, I've got to start paying out money sooner.
Absolutely. I think one
So
of
can
the
I
other...
charge more money for this? What am I going to get about
This is
45,
the-
50 pound a cube for this?
This is
Protim
the
800?
thing I think we've got to be looking at. I've said that I felt we ought to go and try and educate your local authority.
I think that has to be the first step, doesn't it?
But I think my visit ought to be accompanied by yourself or one of your people
But they'd like to come with you,
To-
Don, if I can
to-
save this money.
to ensure that if they wish to insist on that they give you some sort of undertaking or contract to supply them with that product at an agreed, significantly higher charge.
Right.
Because that's what it's going to mean to you.
Undoubtedly, isn't it? Good heavens. I mean, I can't put this money onto my lease and sort of spread the extra 18 pence and keep my price the same.
In the event that we put in a separate treatment plant, yes, I mean, we could put it on lease.
Do a lease.
But I mean, that would be the cost of installing the plant, which would be put on lease. The extra cost of the fluid is,
So
there's
they'll
no
pay
point.
for fluid
Well,
up
you
front.
can't put that on lease, can you? I mean, it's something you're using. No, you can't. It's got to go in now. It's got to go in today. So, yes, what I'm saying to you is this, that, you know, the extra cost in preservative for carcassing tip is probably going to cost you, it's certainly in excess of £3 per cubic metre, but then if you've got to put on the additional cost,
My new lease of an extra plant.
yes, right?
So it's going to cost me for the lease on the plant. The plant will be up to date, though. I won't have to do anything else to the plant, will
No.
I? You mentioned...
No, yeah,
I won't have to do anything. The plant will just turn up,
it
be
might,
ready,
it
won't
might.
it?
Unfortunately, something else I've got to go back, and we'll have to get Gordon Eubank on this, because it's running into ground I'm not quite certain on myself, I'll be quite honest to you. I think it would probably mean that your complete installation would have to be registered this year.
Just have to pay out
And it
£1,000
would
or so.
mean that your filtration and so on would have to be added to your existing plant, most probably.
Oh, but you just come and fit those down, don't you?
You can't fit them, but you pay for them.
I pay for them.
Oh, you pay for them, sir. Indeed you do, yes. Because, you
What,
know,
you're telling me my
we
year-old
we
plant's
are
out
a
of
most
date?
benevolent undertaking, as you'll be well aware, but we're not that benevolent.
But that isn't my plant, Don. You've leased me that plant.
Yeah, we can put it on your lease, certainly, but it would mean that your leasing terms will be increased. Yes,
What, you mean... But I'm leasing that plant off yourselves,
yes.
and you say it's not up to date after a year, so I've got to pay more money to bring it up to date. It's still not
No.
my plant.
No, if you don't introduce...
Why, you win every week, Protim, don't you?
If you don't introduce Protim 800,
Right.
if you carry on working that plant in the way that it is, it will remain okay until 1995.
And then you come and fit me the filters.
Yes, then we could probably enter into another agreement and...
More money for these filters, Don.
money, sir, yes.
How come my plant's out of date already and it isn't even my
When
plant?
12 months ago,
Yes.
it was a state-of-the-art installation.
As I know you two has got this computer readout and it analyses
Absolutely.
out as everything.
State-of-the-art. But since that time, the Environmental Protection Act has introduced other requirements which nobody could foresee 12 months ago.
God heavens, when the board of directors hears that we've got an out-of-date plant, they'll have a heart attack.
It's not out of date now, as long as you operate as you are operating and continue to operate until 1995, 1996.
So how much is all this extra going to cost? If I change my big plant to 800, Don, how much is it going to cost?
Again, it's a job for the experts. You know, I've got to bring them in and tell us what it's going to cost.
£100?
Now, my guess is a couple of thousand, possibly. I don't know.
A couple of thousand,
That's a
Don.
guess again.
Good heavens, so we're
Don't
talking...
take that. Don't quote that because
No.
that's not a hard and fast figure. But I'm guessing something in that order.
£2,000, good
yes.
heavens. And this is for just a couple of little filters?
No, they're not little filters, unhappily.
Are they not?
That's quite substantial filters.
What
And there's
might-
quite a bit of work in fitting them because the system has to be changed.
God
to
heavens.
yes.
So it's going to cost me 2,000. So if I get this little plant off you for £5,000, do I have to have £2,000 of filters put onto that, or does it come with it anyway because it's buying it off you now?
Well, that did not include the cost of filtering it, no.
Will it not?
No, I think we've got to get in the experts to tell us, firstly, what is viable,
Right.
whether we can put in a separate little plant down there, what the total cost of all these alternatives are. Then you've got a base upon which to make a decision.
These figures are looking frightening, Don. I don't know.
I think it rather brings us back to the point I was making earlier. Let us try and educate your local authority.
I mean, a hardcore's going to have to put these filters on. Are they going to have to spend more money?
Everybody will be in exactly the same
So,
position.
I mean, their
But of
tube has
course,
to go,
if
won't
they
it?
keep operating their plant the way it is, which they can do until 1995,
Right.
they don't incur these costs until 1995 any more than you need to.
So if I keep the same and don't
If you
change,
carry on doing what you're doing now, nothing happens till the end of 1995.
so obviously what you're saying, obviously Protim, you're more behind this 80. We're going to try and
No, we're not at
defend
all.
the 80 then.
If you had told me that you had a substantial potential for selling
Right.
the 800 range,
It's about 10,000
it
litres,
would-
isn't
it-
it?
you see,
It's not-
10,000 is not enough.
It's only a third of my business. I can't
This is
afford
the
to
problem.
lose it. We're in a catch-22
Yes,
here,
it is
John,
a
aren't
very
we?
difficult situation. It's why I say again that you've got to go back, we've got to go back to your local authority, see if we can present a case to them which convinces them that what they're using now is safe and acceptable, which
Right.
in my view, there's no doubt it is.
Okay.
It has the record to prove it.
Will you go and speak to the lads in the yard? They won't take my timber off the wagon and things.
I'll talk to anybody you want me to talk to. I mean, I cannot guarantee that I will be
No.
able to change attitudes, but I think it's where we should start.
Smashing.
And do our best. And I think it's a combined effort between ourselves. Because not only have your local authority got to accept that there will be, distant formulation, but there is a significant cost penalty to them in doing so, if they're going to insist on it.
Right. Great. Well, listen, I think I've some rushy done. I've got another
Yes.
point. I think I've got the figures I need now for costs.
Well,
So
you
it's
haven't.
£2,000 for
You've got
filters, 18
guesstimates.
pence a litre, about £5,000 for plant.
You haven't got
I
figures
won't
for
hold it
cost.
those, Don. I know, you
Yeah,
know.
they're guesstimates.
We've seen each other for years. You eventually
Yes.
sold me a plant last year. I won't hold it them.
Yeah.
I've got a ballpark figures to give the board tomorrow. I think what I do now, if I try and get my secretary to get us an appointment to go and see Mr. Anderson at the local authority, what's your diary like, Don?
Suggest something to me.
Right, I'll see if I can